my win, my biggest business win came after 07, 08, 09, 010, 011, 12, 6 years of grind to then end up in a win. I mean, I would, by the way, I tell people, I would never, ever trade those 6 years again for that win. I would never do it. I would never consider it in a million years.
It makes me sad to hear that. And it's unfortunately the way that so many of us are. So I'm going to ask you some questions. So you would think that the more you practice something, the better you get at it. You know, you said you like playing football or wrestling. You know, I presume you're a better wrestler now than when you had first started. You know, it's you practice something, you get better at it.
Sure.
You're 42 years old. You've had 42 years now to live your life. And are you better at living your life now than you were yesterday, than you were 10 years ago, than you were 20 years ago? I would put out there that as good a measure of any of your success at living your life is that your life is easier now than it was 10 years ago. You know, life could be hard. You know, there's ups and downs, you know, reversal of fortune, you know, loss of loved ones, health challenges. This could be hard stuff. But is it easier? Are you better at dealing with life's up and downs now than you were 10 years ago? And I'd argue that as good a measure of any of the success in your life is, are you on a more meaningful path that just fills you with satisfaction now than you were 10 years ago? Mm-hmm. And I'd argue that another measure of the success at living your life, are you more joyful now than you were yesterday? You have more joy in your life than 10 years ago? Do you have more joy in your life now than when you were 3 years old? You've had 42 years to find out what makes you happy. And for most of us, the answer to those questions are no. And isn't that, I mean, it's sad. You know, that some of the greatest minds to have ever lived have been asking and answering these questions for 5,000 years. The answers are out there. Why don't you know how to be, I'm not saying you, but like, why don't we know how to be happy? Why don't we know how to make our lives easy? Why don't we know how to make our lives meaningful? And that's work that I try to do with people to help them along that path.